All right, everyone, we're going to get started. Welcome to the School of Management Alumni Career Panel. We have three panelists today to answer your career and college questions. For students that have any questions, they can just write it in the chat, and I'll ask the question. Or if you feel brave and you want to go on camera, you can raise your hand at any point during this panel. And then we will record your CDR points just after this meeting, just so you know. So let's start with Holly. If you could just introduce yourself with your major, your degree, year of graduation, current job, and company.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Holly Kilburn. I graduated from U of M-Flint in 2016. My major/degree was Human Resources and Organizational Behavior. I am currently, my title is Grants and Special Initiatives Manager, and I work for a charter school management company based in Brighton called CS Partners.
Thanks, Holly. Adam?
Hey everybody, my name is Adam Castillo. I am a master's. I have my master's in leadership and organizational dynamics, which I completed in 2024. I work at Flint Truck Assembly, where I'm a production floor manager, where we build the world's best trucks. Also a entrepreneur on the outside, the skills that I learned at U of M, I'm applying in real life. So very, very thankful for having this opportunity.
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
Hi, good morning. My name is Charles Needham. I graduated from the University of Michigan-Flint, my undergraduate degree in business administration. And it was a 2015. I am an advancement manager for an all-boys Catholic high school. It's called Loyola High School here on the northwest side of Detroit, Michigan. Pleasure to be here.
Thanks, Charles. Okay, Holly, what originally drew you to U of M Flint and your field of study?
Yeah, so when I started at U of M-Flint, I had been working in restaurant management and I wanted to make a change. I didn't want to flip burgers the rest of my life. I had a small son at the time. So I was working full time. For any of you who are currently working in restaurants, you know that it's not a 40-hour position. It is probably a 60 to 80-hour position, depending on what you're doing, especially if you're doing management. So I needed something flexible because I worked 6 days a week. So I was looking around at different universities and different degrees. I knew I wanted to go into the business side of things. So U of M, just looking at the flexibility with classes only a couple days a week, and I could do some online. I thought that would help me. So after I worked my full day, I could get on and do my work, or if I worked a little later in the evening, I could get on and do my work there, and just try to schedule as best as I could my classes. So just the flexibility. And my parents are both U of M alumni, so I've always been kind of go blue at heart. So I did really want to come back to that and continue that go blue tradition. So that was what really drew me to U of M, that flexibility, and then just knowing that my parents had graduated from U of M as well.
Thanks, Holly. Adam?
Kind of the same for me, being working full time at Flint Truck Assembly as a manager, but also being a widowed father of five. I was looking for flexibility and kind of looking for that next journey, the next season of my life as my kids are completing high school, going on to college. Looking at my future, what was I going to do as a 45-year-old? I did complete all my degrees later in life. At 30, I completed my associate's degrees, 32, my bachelor's degrees, and 45, my master's degree. So I really liked the opportunity that U of M Flint afforded with the online courses that I took. But if I wanted to stay at General Motors, it gave me an opportunity to advance. But I'm also very active in the community. I sit on several boards. And if I wanted to, I would like to start a nonprofit. So the organizational leadership gives me the opportunity to kind of be more diverse and open and be able to take my work experience and go elsewhere if I want to. So anybody out there who's a little older, that's okay. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So, every day looking to improve. So looking forward to any questions you may have.
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
What drew me to the University of Michigan-Flint was an admissions counselor or director or manager. He showed up to my school and it gave me an opportunity to skip class. And and so I went there and he sent a letter to my house. But all joking aside, when I actually got to connect with the University of Michigan-Flint and talk through what the programs and things that they could offer me, it really resonated with me given my background. I've always been a student at smaller schools. Smaller schools typically equate to resources, concentrated resources, and the ability for you to garner your skill set that you might have felt like you lost some gaps. And so I think that it was just the conversations that I had with people, counselors, the admissions director to think through how the University of Michigan-Flint could match, the education that I've already been experiencing. And I was grateful to have been at University of Michigan-Flint because it did provide just that resources, concentrated resources for someone who was used to navigating school in a smaller traditional setting.
Thanks, Charles. So we had a few more students hop on, and I just wanted to let the students know, if you have a question, you can write it in the chat, or you can raise your hand if you want to go on camera. And then Zoom will collect your attendance, so you'll get your CDR points added this week once we're done with the call. So you don't have to put your name in the chat. It'll already record that. So, okay, Holly, did you always know know this was the path you wanted to take, or did your career evolve in unexpected ways?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. No, I did not know this was the path that I wanted to take. When I started at U of M, I was like, I'm gonna do HR. I'm gonna be the best darn HR person there ever was out there. I'm so excited to do HR. And at that time, I was working at my current company. I was doing a little bit different than I am now, but I knew that was the path I wanted to take. So I did my degree. I went through. I continued working where I was, and then I got to do a little bit of HR stuff in my company and learn a little bit more about it. And it wasn't exactly what I wanted. I was so much happier as I had gone through U of M. My position here evolved a little bit more. And I was just so much happier doing some of the things that I was just dabbling in, a little bit of grants, which I do full time now. So it really wasn't, yeah, it wasn't really the path I wanted to take. But all of those background and pieces that I did do along with my degree, I was glad that I didn't just, U of M has all of these prerequisites for a reason. You might get those couple classes to focus on those pieces, but all of those other background classes are going to support you in at least the business side of things. So no, it necessarily wasn't, but all of those additional pieces that I did, or those friends that I made along the way who worked in other areas at the school, really helped support what I do now.
Thanks, Holly. Adam?
So, no, I started off, I had a strong desire out of high school to get into law enforcement. So I had the opportunity to apply to the Flint City Police Department at 19. So I started off at Saginaw Valley State University for 2 semesters, and I was picked up as for the Flint Police Academy. However, during that time, the city was in dire straits, went into receivership, and about 150 of us were laid off. So I transitioned to EMS, where I got my EMT certification. But I've done a myriad of things. I've built houses. I've supervised probation and parolees. I was a parapro for the Flint schools, and I was an assembler at Flint Truck Assembly, and now management. So I said earlier, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and I still don't. But that's probably because of all the experiences I have. But I think it's good for you all to take on as much as you can. I do believe you can't take on too much. I still don't know what my capacity is, so challenge yourselves every day, and see where your journey is going to take you.
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
No, my career definitely evolved in unexpected ways. For sure. I think that the key of a career is one, understanding that you know yourself well. I think, once you really take a deep dive into who you are and finding out your skills and things that you're interested in, what you like, those things will help you kind of navigate where you're going to go in your career. But even if you're at that point, you'll still be at a crossroads to understanding, like, yes, this is the journey I'm taking, but that journey can evolve in so many different ways. I might think it's linear, but then what I thought was linear ends up turning into something else, because what starts as a journey always continues as a journey. And so your whole life, your whole career you'll be finding different things that you're interested in, and you'll also be finding different places that may offer opportunities for you to further develop your skill set. And so, yeah, I had to really learn that the path that I'm taking is not linear, but I know where I'm going to go in another direction.
Great, thanks, Charles. All right, Holly, how did you navigate the transition from college to your first job? Were there any unexpected challenges?
Yeah, so I got a little lucky. I've stayed at the company that I was at when I was in school, but my position has significantly changed. So when I had first started, I was doing some more like executive assistant kind of stuff with the boards. I work with school boards all across Michigan, so helping them navigate their compliance and things like that. And I realized that just wasn't something I wanted to do the rest of my life. And my company was really, we're pretty flexible in some of the things we have to do. And I realized there was a niche here. I was doing a little bit of grant work, but our schools, I don't know if you guys really know, but schools, majority of their funding is based off of grants. And we didn't have anybody here at my company that would handle that. So I looked into it a little bit more and I really kind of fell in love with that whole process and, getting kids those robotic grants and being able to see them do really cool things with robots or like getting something cool for their lunch program so the kids can enjoy something a little bit different, or getting a new curriculum for the kids to learn. So I really enjoyed that piece. So I realized it was something that was needed. So I wrote my own job description. I said, hey, we need this piece here. I think I can get our schools a ton of money. We don't have anybody working or focusing on that, and we're missing out. So I wrote that and took it to kind of our leadership at our company and laid out my, my plea for this piece, and they accepted it. And I've been doing this for quite some time, and we've just got our schools millions and millions of dollars. I think I have 30 schools currently. We have a weird system, but 24 of them they receive all of our services. I got an additional $31 million last year for these schools to be able to do this for all of our kids. I think that's probably about 12,000 kids. So just being able to take something and say, hey, here's what my skills are. And now I get to, travel around and do all these things. And it's pretty fantastic.
Great. Adam?
So for me, I was fortunate to be employed and have a career while finishing my most recent degree. But early on, I had to learn to adjust and adapt. In 2009, I was laid off indefinitely during the automotive crisis, but that gave me an opportunity to complete three associate's degrees. So I talk about adjusting and adapting. The opportunity that was in my lap was the freedom, I guess, to complete my degrees, which now put me in the position to where, I'm almost 20 years with General Motors. I've completed my master's degree and, looking forward to adjust and adapt again as my journey continues, whatever that may be. So.
Great. Charles?
I navigated that with desperation and luck. Honestly, when I graduated from the University of Michigan-Flint, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. My goal was to be a franchisee. And then what I realized is that what I wanted was financial freedom. It wasn't necessarily me being a franchisee. And so I think where I went wrong in college was thinking that I knew myself without actually being introspective and understanding what I actually wanted and what my skill sets were calling me to do. And so when I graduated, it was a reality check. I started at McDonald's, a franchise that I was interested in, and I realized, wait, this is going to be a grind. This is going to take some time, and I'm going to have to climb up the ranks, and I can do that. But is that worth trading off the expectation of what I'm looking for from this? And it wasn't, because I think financial success is subjective. And I also believe that I had to learn that the challenge of figuring out something isn't for you is figuring out what do you do. So my first job, I was actually working at a hospital. And I think at that point, it took me some time to figure out who I was and what I was interested in and where my skill sets lied so that I can get on the trajectory of where I am now.
Thanks, Charles. Holly, what's a piece of advice you would give to someone who is uncertain about their career path or feels overwhelmed by the pressure to choose?
It's gonna be okay. Don't let anybody push you. If you're not ready, I mean, you gotta get ready at some point, right? But don't let anybody push you or pressure you into something that you're just not ready for. And you want to think, I'm a classic overthinker. I have a sticker on my computer that says, "Let me overthink this," and that's okay. What I would recommend if you're still just unsure, maybe do something general. You could do a general business degree or something that you think you may enjoy. Start doing those pieces and taking a look. Or if you're just unsure, I really highly recommend, I didn't do it, and obviously it changed a little bit of my trajectory. Try to do some internships or do something similar to these where where they're working in education or they're working in automotive or something, and have some conversations with them and try to discover if that's something that you would really want to do. Human resources, I thought it was like, I'm going to be helping employees and making sure that, we got their rights and things like that. No, my job as a human resources person is to protect the company, not necessarily the employee. And that wasn't something that I had really wanted to do. But if I would have taken a little bit extra time to learn some of these ins and outs and the heartbreaks and the loves of those pieces, I might have chosen a little different. I'm happy I didn't. I'm happy that I went in and figured it out as I went, but don't feel pressured. Everything's going to work out. If it's meant for you, it's going to work out. It's going to be hard to screw up. So, just yeah, take a little bit of time to kind of peruse the buffet, as I would say.
Thank you, Holly. Adam?
I'm a believer in, we are where we are supposed to be in the moment. So, kind of accept where you're at in your journey. Um, eh, View every opportunity as an exercise in learning, right? I've learned so many things throughout, the last 25 years of employment. Like I said, I thought I was going to be a chief of police at this age, but it didn't work out that way. However, I still have a heart for the community, and now I'm in a position to be able to help through being on boards. And so I'm on the board of the National Alliance for Mental Illness. Mental illness is very important to me. I'm on the board of Serenity House. I'm on the board of um, Latinx. So agencies that are important to me, but give me an opportunity to give back in a way. So even though I'm not a police officer, I'm not out there fighting crime, I am able to help the community still. So everything that I've experienced, I view as an exercise in learning. And I carry that forward and try to just improve every day. Kind of if you guys are familiar with the Kaizen theory of continuous improvement, that's kind of how I think.
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
I would say just breathe, take a step back, and understand that you're not alone. There are a lot of people who felt like that. There are people who feel like that before and after they graduate. I think the important thing is to just find out things about yourself that you really like. What are your skills? What are things that you feel like you could be interested in? And then listen, right? Because there are people, there are professors, there are your classmates, there are people who can give you their perspectives and opinions about what they've seen from you so that you can start to think and gather what things would be best in your wheelhouse or best in your interest for what your future pathway is. You got time, but the time that you have is valuable. So just make sure that you're taking your time and thinking thoroughly about who you're centered around, the people around you, and what advice other people could offer you to ultimately help you figure out your path along the way. You got time, so take a deep breath. It's gonna be all right.
Thanks, Charles. Holly, looking back, is there anything you would do differently in your career journey?
Well, like I had mentioned, I was a busy mom and I was working quite a bit, but I would have really have liked to taken some time out to maybe do some internships or to talk to people who are a little bit more established in those career fields that I was looking towards. People are a very valuable resource. And I don't think I took advantage of it as much as I would have liked. I mean, I've made some mistakes along the way, but I think not being so hard on myself, as I've gone forward would have been probably if I could talk to my littler self, I would have been, don't be so hard on yourself because every time you make a mistake, it's kind of a gift because you're getting that experience along the way with those pieces. But I think just the career wise, it would be just talking to people who have been in the field for a while and not people who are like, people who love their field. You want to talk to the people who love it because they've been there for a while, not people who have just kind of been hanging around waiting for retirement. I mean, you could get some valuable feedback for people like that, but really the people who love the field because you want to hear like the exciting pieces as well.
Thanks, Holly. Adam?
I think kind of looking back at my career, what I would do differently is like you were saying, Holly, I've taken advantage of more opportunities. I would have completed my 4 years of college before entering law enforcement at 20 years old. Um, so if I could redo it again, I believe this is what I would do. I'd complete my 4 years of college, take advantage of internship, and try kind of travel the country to experience different things before I settled in.
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
If I could have done anything differently, I think I would have learned how to navigate my industry sector. I think that a lot of times when we graduate, we treat every career pathway, every industry the same, and they're all different. So I would have taken the time to understand the nuances of what my career path could have looked like. And that could have looked like having conversations with people who were serving those roles and opportunities that I was interested in. And then setting myself up for success by allowing them to give me advice on how to transition from college to post-college life. A lot of times when we graduate from college, we forget that there's a buffer between the time we graduate and when we're actually out in the real world that we have to figure it out. We do that all the way up until we get to college, right? When we're in our junior year, we're preparing to go to college, right? So by our senior year, we already know what we're interested in. And even when we get to college, we have an idea, right? So I think college students, for myself, I would have taken the time to figure out by the time I graduated what my industry sector could have looked like. And I think that would have helped me kind of bridge the gap between knowing what I could have done and where my skill sets lie. And I think I would have been further ahead had I had took that time to really understand what I was dealing with.
Great answer, Charles. Thank you. Holly, what skills or knowledge from your program have been most valuable in your career?
I'd say accounting. I hated it. I still hate it. My husband's a CPA. I love him. So I love that he does it for us. But accounting, definitely the financial pieces, being able to, even in your just daily, being able to read a budget, being able to understand your budget, being able like what's coming in, what's going out. That's been extremely helpful, especially my grants role. In marketing, surprising or not, being able to have those marketing pieces and those conversations and negotiations. Um, I think Dr. Lawrence would appreciate that almost everything you do is a negotiation, whether you believe it or not. So those three have been very valuable to me. All of them I thought were very helpful in learning in all those pieces, but just the things that I do, those have been the most helpful.
Thanks. I'll let Dr. Lawrence know you gave a shout out. So, Adam?
I was going to say negotiations as well. Not only my place of employment, but also as I enter in the entrepreneurial world, just learning to negotiate, sit at the table comfortably, kind of set my BATNA. And I still use that strategy today, kind of outline everything, where I want to be, where we could be, and where I don't want to be. So I don't know if we had classes together, Holly, but the negotiations and advanced negotiations were a couple of my favorite classes. And then also learning to navigate the change management of organizations as organizations change. So I'm able to apply that as sitting on the board of directors of a local agency. We were able to determine that our leadership was not taking us in the direction we wanted to go. We had to make some moves, but that was all change management and trying to put a strategy together to make sure that the organization was viable moving forward. So,
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
Well, Holly, Adam, I think we're all aligned in speaking about our classes. I feel like the biggest thing that I learned, the thing that sticks out to most to me was I remember there was I think it was like Business 349. It was Professor Thomas Hemphill, and he had like a technology information class or something like that. And then the most important thing he told me is that no matter what industry sector I'm gonna be in, if it's business related, you gotta have communication skills. You gotta be able to talk to people in a way that they understand and that you're articulating yourself in a way to explain that what you're giving them is something that they need, and what they have to offer is something that's valuable to you. And I'm an advancement manager here at Loyola High School. And so what that means is that I create partnerships for the school. Those partnerships transition into funding. And so I play them in the back of my mind when I'm thinking about, right, if I don't articulate myself well enough for you to understand that this is something that's a valuable resource for you and I, then that partnership won't be closed. And so I think communication is the first step for everything. And so just the fact that he taught us different skill sets within the business world, technology, innovation, marketing, and et cetera, I think that I'm able to understand how to utilize that communication skill set that I learned from that class to like navigate the professional world as I'm creating partnerships.
Thanks, Charles. Holly, what's the most important soft skill that helped you advance, and how can students develop it?
So I'm gonna say, I don't know, it's overarching people skills. Um, no matter what no matter what industry you're in, no matter what you're doing, people are always going to be a part of it. And like, unless you're kind of more IT and you're kind of hanging out, but I'm sure you're getting that call, like, I don't know how my computer's working. I unplugged it and I plugged it back in. You know, you still have to talk to people. You're always going to have to talk to people. I think being able to take time to interact with people, understand where people are coming from, especially people who are angry or emotional or things like that, just learning the best ways to have those conversations. It's gonna be so valuable to you. I mean, the more people like you, or the more, you know, that they feel comfortable with you, so they'll let you, you know, mistakes are not as detrimental. Understandings more. People remember your names in rooms with conversations. Just having those people skills. Not necessarily you have to be everybody's best friend. And I'm an introvert as well. It might not seem like it, but it is. Like, people are exhausting. It's very difficult, but just learning some techniques and like mirroring people and the things that they say, or like taking time, more listening than speaking, different things along those lines. That's helped me enormously. Because a lot of the times people just want to talk about themselves, right? So like giving them an opportunity to do that, and understanding and some grace. We're all going through it's a very difficult time in our country. I know I'm not going to get into that, but people are going through a lot. And just taking that time to give some people extra grace to have those conversations can really help you out in the long run. People will always remember that you were nice to them. Like, they'll remember years and years later. They're like, "Oh, Holly was so nice to me. She said she complimented me on my hair and I was having a terrible day." So just a little bit of grace, those people skills at least. I hope that helps.
Yeah, it did. Thanks, Holly. Adam? Oh, you're on mute.
A couple come to mind. Communications is key. So I don't know if you can tell, but I'm very nervous being in this environment. Public speaking, scares me. So my stomach is knotted up. But learning to tell a story, learning to communicate, learning to be open, and also expressing empathy towards others. Right. Listen to, like you were saying, Holly, listen to what they have to say, kind of understand where they're coming from, understand their position. So ethical intelligence, emotional intelligence all come to mind. I believe would fall into the soft skills. Making the right decisions when it's not the most popular decision. So in my environment of at General Motors, it's very rough. It's fast paced, but really having to understand it's more than just building trucks. You have to understand Anna's story, and you have to understand Holly's story and Charles' story, and be able to empathize with them and make adjustments. So I believe that that's probably one of the most important.
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
Yeah, I would say emotional intelligence as well. I think that that's one of the things that I wish I would have knew. The learning curve on that, I think could start in college and can be tremendous for someone's career, because one, yes, you're learning how to balance your own emotions. So when people say things, you can get the message without reacting and then losing the resource that you're trying to gain. But then two, the more emotional intelligence you have, the more you can understand people and their behavior patterns. The more you understand people and their behavior patterns, the easier it is to navigate the professional world because you know what to say, what to not say, what to do, what to not do, when to speak up for yourself, when to advocate for resources, when to pull back. Those are some kind of key things that I feel like emotional intelligence or having a high level of emotional intelligence when you're in a professional world gives you a leg up in life.
Thanks, Charles. Holly, what resources did you use on campus that were helpful?
So number one, my professors. I kind of went to college and had no idea what I was doing. So building some relationships with my professors really helped. Not only make me feel like I belonged, but also throwing like going and having conversations with people kind of on the outside of like what I was working on or something like that, getting their outside perspective. Just super valuable. I loved our library. I had a lot of good times there. And then just the on-site computer labs, like taking some extra time to do some research or something on site there. The staff, it was great.
Thanks, Holly. Yeah, I agree. The first floor of the library is gorgeous. So if you're on campus ever, you should check that area out. Whenever I do tours for faculty that are applying for a job here, I always take them to that first floor just to kind of give them some nice views. Adam?
Some of the resources, also, my professors had great professors I could really lean on. They had a lot of, they had real life experience, but also my peers, the students I had in classes. I had a lot of opportunities to where I would just call another classmate and ask a question or just have a conversation about whatever was going on professionally or academically. And then also the networking opportunities that the School of Management provides. I did take advantage of several of those. Those are great opportunities to meet professionals, ask questions, and kind of connect with your peers. So.
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
Yeah, office hours was my bread and butter. Office hours, because that's the time that you can get into your professor's face and they can provide you with what gaps you're lacking. If you see an empty paper, you don't know what you're getting a grade for, or you're getting a C or D, you don't understand why you're getting a C or D. But those consistency of going to those office hours will allow you the opportunity to further develop yourself because they'll focus on you if you're there. And then the next thing is just joining organizations. Student organizations really propelled me a lot. I was a part of the business association or something. It was amazing for me because it gave me an opportunity to connect with my peers. And what you'll know about your peers is that you're all different. And then certain things that are common sense to them are not common sense to you. So you connecting with them through organizations will allow you all to have some common ground, and it will also allow you to develop your skills more. I'm introverted as well. I have a hard time connecting with people, but in college, there was those organizations that like, hey, Charles, come here, talk to me. And I think those consistency of talking to people allowed me to be like, oh, that's how you articulate yourself. Oh, that's how you connect with other people. And so yeah.
Thanks, Charles. Holly, what are the most important trends in your industry right now?
Yeah, before that, I do want to piggyback off Charles. I was a part of SHRM and we got to go to Lansing for HR Day. So if any of you are focusing on HR or anything like that, you should definitely join SHRM on site at U of M because it was a great experience and I got to work with a lot of people. And I got to go to the conference, and as I was talking about learning a little bit about that, I got to sit in on some of those sessions. So that was really cool. But I hope you guys are still doing that. But anyways, trends in my industry. Well, I'm in education, but I'm sure this is happening with everybody. Accelerated adoption of AI. AI in all of our industries, what does that look like? Education, I know, like, it's not just about making sure students aren't cheating with AI or having AI write their papers or anything like that. It's so much more than that. Like the information gathering, because I am on the business side looking at how could this cause a disruption in our security? With AI, what adjustments could be made there. about increasing our work, like lowering our workload by putting through some things in AI. Like, could I have AI write grants for me instead of me sitting here with a paper and pencil and writing all of those pieces? But AI in education is a huge thing right now, especially I've been talking to, I was at a conference not that long ago. They were talking about having individualized AI tutors for every student as we move forward. Like, we're only a couple years away from that. So imagine just having a tutor to be able to talk to you through your college work or anything like that. It's just a one-on-one kind of support. It's very interesting. And we're also talking a lot about SEL education, which is social emotional learning. We're focusing more on mental health with students and on understanding where they're coming from with a lot of those pieces. So that's been a large focus, especially in Michigan. I don't know if you guys pay much attention, but the governor has put forward a lot of funding in towards mental health supports for grants for schools. I don't know if there's any others going on in the industry, but social emotional learning, and then an emphasis on lifelong learning. I remember when I was in school, math, you got the problem, and here's the answer. I've been working with my son on his high school work, and it's kind of killing me with the Common Core stuff. It's not just here's the problem, here's the answer. It's like, why is that problem there? You know, what other tools or traits can we use to get to that answer? Because the answer is not just the answer. So education has been focusing a little bit more on like that lifelong, the why, not as in here's the answer kind of piece. But that's what I got going on.
Thanks, Holly. Adam?
So the biggest thing is in the auto industry is obviously the advancement of technology and the introduction of AI. So we're seeing a lot of autonomous technology coming into the plant, eliminating jobs, but also creating jobs in the tech and in the AI world. And then also on the entrepreneurial side, I'm involved with a company where edutech is very big. So educating through technology, using the AI, using Meta. We're partnered with Meta in what we're doing, and gamification. So we know the next generation, always on the video games, always on the VRs. So truly trying to strategize to see how we can incorporate gamification and also edutainment and edutech. So a lot of moving parts and changing very fast. So trying to stay ahead of that curve is challenging, but exciting as well. So
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
Yeah, I'm in the education field as well, so no different. It's AI, but I would say as it relates to my job though, my responsibility is to advocate for students, right? So that we can secure funding for the school. But the type of students that we're seeing now are different because of AI. I think that it does have an impact on people's mental health. I think it does have an impact on the way that they learn. And so you have to articulate and explain that. And I think that that's changing and it's not clear on what that's going to look like for the future. So.
Thanks, Charles. Holly, what qualities do you notice in new hires or interns that help them stand out?
Volunteering for things they're uncomfortable with or they don't know how to do. That I think is so valuable. A lot of people want to be, they want to come in, they want to kind of be quiet and, figure everything out. I notice the people who stand out and say, hey, I'm ready here. Let's learn something new. So volunteering for like, I don't really know how to do it, but I'll figure out how to do it. Those kind of people are the people who are going to be the most successful. Because you got to dive head in, ready to go. People who have the skill, the Word, Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint. I've noticed Canva, different things along those lines, having those backgrounds and understanding how to use them. Just in business, I am grants and I do a lot of writing, but Excel is like my bread and butter. So understanding like not just the basics, a little bit of the more advanced skills, you're going to impress anybody in the industry. So I think having that's going to really set you up for success, but being open and ready to learn.
Thanks, Holly. Adam?
kind of the same thing, being able to navigate the tech world. For instance, 360. We had a young intern over the summer who was just an ace on 360. He was creating PowerPoint or presentations, was using AI to kind of explain different strategies of implementation of a new product, right? So for us old heads, he brought that to the table, gave us an opportunity to see something different, and we said, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." So we really like to see interns, new hires that show initiative, that are comfortable being in uncomfortable situations, coming to the table, and not being afraid to hear no. So be bold, be persistent, and those are qualities that we look for in new hires and new interns.
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
Yeah, it's definitely uh, innovation. Of course, is the number one thing. I think that somebody who's innovative can always create and bring new ideas. But I think that what I'm noticing is with interns, it's typically them understanding their roles and responsibilities. A lot of times when people get hired or they're working for somewhere that's not that they don't see as a final step for them, they miss the opportunity or the gap to really execute because they're not clear on what that role and responsibility is. I think the more clear you are on what the role and expectation for yourself is, the easier it is for you to stand out because you're doing that precisely. You're executing what they're asking you to do.
Thanks, Charles. So Holly, what are some do's and don'ts about resume and interviewing?
Yeah, so for resumes, keep it simple. Keep it simple. I mean, I've been a hiring manager before and I'm reading through 40 resumes. And I mean, you could put something on there. You could maybe do a little bit of a different color or something. Don't put your picture. Do not put your picture on your resume. That unfortunately can cause some issues. Um, Not going to get into it too much, but don't put your picture on your resume. Keep it simple because as I'm reading through, if you have very long resumes, I'm going to get brain fatigue. I don't know about Adam and Charles if you can agree, but as you're flipping through them, it's just a lot. So make sure you keep it simple. Also, spell check it. Have your mom look at it, have your dad look at it, have Anna look at it, have Adam look at it, have Charles look at it, have everybody look at it, because if you have something misspelled on there or inaccurate, it's just, you're probably going to get thrown away. So don't do those pieces. And use U of M, because U of M does have people in their offices who can help you write your resumes. Don't just rely on AI. You also use that person to help support you. For interviews, don't arrive super early. Don't arrive 20 minutes early. Arrive 5 to 10 minutes early, or enough to make yourself feel comfortable. Always dress appropriately. You don't have to overdress. Don't be coming up in I mean, look at what industry you're going into, but you don't have to come in a tuxedo or anything like that. Dress appropriately and comfortably because you're probably going to be a little nervous and you're going to be sweating. Don't put on perfume. Make sure you have that deodorant, but don't put on perfume for that. And then make sure you have a list of questions also to ask before you come in. Think about the company or call the company or research the company. Research it before you come. Don't have it come in and say, I don't really know a lot about your company. Call somebody, stalk somebody online, do whatever you can. Yeah, and just be ready. Be prepared. Luck is for the unprepared, is what I like to say. So just make sure you over preparing is never going to hurt you.
Thanks, Holly. Adam?
I don't do with hiring often, but I do deal with referrals and I do get resumes. So some of the turnoffs are a resume that looks like, an elementary student completed it or a seventh and eighth grader completed it. So those are quick turnoffs. You can look at those very quickly and know, hey, this isn't the right fit. I do prefer a little more detail in a resume because I'd like to know what a candidate is about. So I prefer resumes to be a little bit longer. But again, I don't read that many, so that gives me an opportunity to learn about who I'm referring if I refer.
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
Yeah, I think Holly and Adam covered it in terms of resumes. The only thing I would add, just additionally for resumes, is just make sure that there is some consistency with your writing, right? Like you have a writing style for your resume. Don't go one job role and then you have a specific cadence on how you're explaining the role and then go to another role and explain it in a totally different way. You want to keep it consistent because all they're doing, if they're flipping through your resume, they're reading to understand who you are and how you're going to do whatever said job is. And so the inconsistency will throw people off and then they'll just move on to the next resume, in my opinion. As far as interviews go, The bigger thing for interviews is one, you have to know who you're getting in front of. So if you don't know who you're getting in front of, you don't know what they like, what their interests are, what type of candidate they're looking for, that's going to be really hard for you. And you can narrow that gap by just doing the prep work, going to the company, looking at the websites and understanding what their mission is, understanding what type of hires they have, what type of people they hire. I think those are some big things. And then preparing yourself to answer questions. So what I do in prep work for interviews in the past is I think through what would they ask me? And when I'm thinking through what they would ask me, I would then answer that and then ask myself, did I answer that effectively? Did I answer what they're asking me? Because if you don't answer what they're asking, you're gonna miss it. And then the last thing on that, it's a swing, right? Like, let's metaphorically speaking, it's like getting on bat and you're getting ready to swing. You're taking some swings. So just continue to practice on like taking those swings and doing interviews because you'll get better at it naturally.
And I'm sorry, I want to add one more thing. Cover letter. I didn't mention cover letter. I just mentioned resume. Why some people will only take a resume. I say keep your resume simple because where you should really shine is your cover letter on your pieces. You should tell them who you are, why you want to be here, how fantastic and wonderful you are, and that you're going to be the best employee ever. You can use AI to do those things, or you can use U of M or your friends to help support you write those pieces. But your cover letter is a little, I feel, and I mean, Adam and Charles, you can disagree with me or say how you feel. I feel like your cover letter is one of the most important things you'll submit to a company.
Yeah. Holly, can you share? Okay, so we're going to talk about networking for a little bit because we all agreed we're introverts here. But networking is a big deal. Can you share an example of how networking directly opened a door for you, Holly?
Yes, so at U of M, I did have a lot of friends. I would go to the U of M activities that were happening on campus or that were happening around town just to get to know people because a lot of these people, I mean, U of M, I think is a little unique because we have the young, the older, we're kind of a mesh of all of those people. So getting to know some people who are already in the industry, who are already working there, or getting people who are just at the start of their career, being able to connect with those people and have those conversations and share kind of your hopes and dreams. Like we're all in this together. We're all trying to get towards that degree and graduate. Is just, it's helped me a lot. And then just relying on somebody being like, I'm having trouble trying to get a job or figuring these out or things like that. Just being able to have those conversations or having them be able to write recommendation letters for you. There's nothing more like having a personal recommendation letter from somebody who you went to university with to have those conversations. And then after college, I think even though it's a little bit hard for me to be with people all the time, to have all of that experience, networking is so important. It's uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable at times because you get together and you're like, oh, let's talk about the weather or this or that. But really trying to build those meaningful relationships with people in your industry. And like I said, taking every opportunity to do things you're uncomfortable with, to learn about people or talk to people. I work very closely with people at the Michigan Department of Education and trying to get to know them and have those conversations. Just because I said, if you make a mistake, it's not as detrimental to some people as it could be for others, or just getting on different boards. Like I know Adam said he's on a lot of different boards that are passionate to him. So through some of my networking for people who do similar jobs to me, I was able to get on a grant board for Michigan. And then because I was on that grant board for Michigan, I got voted onto the national board for the grant stuff that I do. So I get to go to DC a couple times per year and advocate for all, not just our kids in Michigan, but advocate for all of our kids around the United States for more funding and the supports that they need. So being able to do those networking pieces, you never know where it's going to take you. So get to know people, take time and like true relationships, not just a hi, how you doing? How's your kids kind of thing. Like how actually are you? And it doesn't have to be everybody. It can be just a couple people. You don't have to be friends with everyone.
Thanks, Holly. Adam?
So networking is one thing that I really enjoy doing, but it was through networking that I had the opportunities to be invited to apply for boards. So when I first started networking, there's actually kind of a rhythm to it. There's a cadence to networking. When I first started out, I was very shy, kind of just sat at the table waiting for somebody to approach me. But as I attended more networking opportunities, I had the courage and kind of learned the cadence. Just go up to somebody, introduce yourself. Hey, Anna, how are you? My name's Adam Castillo. What do you do? What are your interests? Very simple questions, but through networking, gives people an opportunity to kind of see you and build credibility. So it gives you an opportunity, I guess, to sell yourself and create interest. So, but I was able to join the Great Lakes Hispanic Bay Institute through networking. I was able to be invited to apply to the boards that I'm currently on through networking. So there's a lot of power in networking. And while I was at General Motors, I was the chair of the GM Latino Network, and I was able to bring that to the School of Management. So every year, GM Latino Network, GM ERGs will come and do a networking. So I was able to do that through networking and the opportunities that I created.
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
For me in college, it was joining student organizations. I think that the biggest organization that supported me in college was a fraternity. I joined Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated in college, and doing so allowed me to get a larger network of people throughout the state of Michigan because they had different colleges, different experiences that I was able to talk and advocate for myself to learn what people do, what people's interests lie, where people's interests lie, and what could my interests possibly be. But then after college, I felt like it was the skill set of learning the quote elevator pitch, right? Like I think I learned some of that in college, but I think, it starts as like you figuring out what's your 60-second spiel about who you are, and it starts that way. But I think all of networking is kind of the elevator pitch, right? It's just people lose your attention quick. And if you're not able to express who you are, what you offer, and what your place in this world is, then they're probably not going to listen to you and see how there could be some bridge or some alignment with what they need versus what you can offer and vice versa. So I think I've done a lot of that through platforms like LinkedIn, networking, conventions. I've done that through just going to conferences where I'm connecting with people to tell them about the school that I work for. And I think all of those are centered around just me expressing who I am and what I offer and what values I offer to the world. And I think those organic conversations with my elevator pitch has allowed me to create opportunities for not only the school, but myself, because I'm making those connections and building those connections with people across different varieties and walks in life in different industries.
Thanks, Charles. Holly, what keeps you motivated when work gets tough?
Well, if you haven't noticed, we don't have a state budget approved because the legislators are fooling around up in Lansing, which is holding up funding for a lot of things in Michigan, but it's also holding up funding for my kids. And that's a little frustrating. Just it doesn't matter any of the kids, they're all my kids. Because all of our kids, they're going to move us forward and they're going to be better. So when I do get frustrated about these things, I try to, and this is a little cheesy, but I have a little sticky note on my computer that I put on there a little while ago, and it says, "Why do you do what you do?" I do what I do for our kids. Right. I'm here to get them extra money, get them opportunities to be able to go on field trips or do things that they would have never had the opportunity to do, get them to be able to try fresh fruits and vegetables that a lot of them might not be able to get. So I'm here for our kids. I'm here to support our kids in Michigan, the schools that I support, but not only the schools that I support, all of the kids, because I'm doing all of this other grant work and all these boards and stuff like that. And I said, are you really doing the best that you can do today? I ask myself that because some days I don't want to do this. Some days I just want to stay in bed and hide and just be like, it's not my problem today. But it is my problem. It's all of our problems. So I ask myself that, are you really doing the best you can do today? And then I say, are you being who you want to be? Am I being, that loud, obnoxious person who's like, give me money for my kids? Or, that person who is out there advocating or doing the best I can to put stuff forward or to treat people well or do things like that. So I put that little sticky note on there every day. So when I do get on my computer, which is every day, I have that little reminder there just to say, like, here's what I do. And this is why I do it. And it's okay some days to have a crappy day. That's okay. You just do better tomorrow.
Thanks, Holly. Adam? You're on mute still.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
What keeps me motivated when work gets tough? It's just being able to create something positive, being able to take a team who is not functioning and get them to the next level. every day in my line of work is a grind. Every day you're getting beat up. The work is tough. The work is fast paced, but keeping the team motivated to kind of see them to that next day. So every day I go in with a brand ethos of win, right? Work is necessary. WIN, work is necessary. So if we're gonna win, we're gonna have to work. We're gonna work hard, and as a team, we work together. We fight together. We don't fight at all. Is kind of what I believe. So that keeps me motivated, and being the leader of that team. Getting in there in the trenches and getting them to, for us, it's making schedule. We want to build as many vehicles as we can. So that's our grind every day.
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
Yeah, I think my biggest motivator is just my passion. I think, I've aligned myself well to be in a role that merges both what I'm passionate about and what my skill sets are. And so because I'm in a school, because I work for a school and it's a smaller school, I can leave my office and I can go and connect with students. And, I'm passionate about mentorship, so that provides me with the outlet to say, you know what, this is why I do what I do. And then I think the second thing is what really motivates me is the people that I keep around me. You are who your circle is. And so I'm around friends and family members that I feel like I'm motivated by. And so when I need to have a conversation with those select few people, those conversations push me to continue to do what I do because I can see that they're struggling too. I can see that they have issues and things and responsibilities that they feel the weight on their shoulders as well. And I think having that consistency of people who are like-minded and doing the things that you're doing or trying to reach the goals that you're trying to reach is very helpful.
Thanks, Charles. So we have a few minutes left, so we're going into the lightning round quick advice part. So Holly, do you have a book, podcast, or resource you recommend to students?
Not specifically, no. I just try to do a little bit of everything. I haven't really found anything that's super motivating to me yet. So I try to find like different mentors and our people, that have been out there to try to have conversations with, but no, not currently.
Holly, or Adam?
I do. I'm not big at watching TV. I've given up social media for 2025. So I do listen to a lot of podcasts. I do enjoy listening to Dr. Jordan Peterson. I enjoy listening to Dr. Eric Thomas. I like listening to David Goggins. So I need that kind of in your face, get up, stop whining, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Type of inspiration. So, find somebody that you align with, somebody that kind of speaks to you, and listen to them every day. And that's what I do.
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
Yeah, so if you're lost in your journey, you don't know where you need to go yet, I would suggest you pick up The Alchemist. If you know where you're gonna go and you need some clear direction on how to get there, but you need some like clear, solid, like how do I move to the next step, I would advise you pick up Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene.
Thanks, Charles. Okay, the last question. Holly, one piece of advice you wish you had as a student?
That was a tough one. I wasn't able to write up a response for that. I think the one piece of advice I wish I had is it's gonna be okay. You're gonna figure it out. Because I feel like everything is so systematized how we have to do things like you're supposed to go to school and then you're supposed to find a boyfriend, girlfriend, and you're supposed to get married and you're supposed to have a kid and you're supposed to do this and you're supposed to do that. And there's this timeline that somebody wrote that is supposed to be the perfect timeline for everybody. And that's not the case. Everybody is a little bit different. You don't have to have everything planned out to a T right away. Sometimes going with the flow is the best. And I wish somebody would have told me that as I was going.
Thanks, Holly. Adam?
I agree with that. Life is going to throw a curveball. You're going to wake up one day and you're going to lose somebody very important to you. But you want to stay consistent. You want to be able to adjust and adapt. And you want to have that understanding of life. Life is going to change. Even if you plan it out, life's going to say, nope, it's not going to happen that way. It's going to happen this way. So just having the mindset of being able to get through whatever obstacles, come your way.
Thanks, Adam. Charles?
Yeah, this is a difficult one because there's so many, right? And it's layered. But I would say the number one thing I wish I could have told myself is because I'm in the education sector, I didn't understand at the time that being a business student, that's just one lane, right? Until it took an interview for somebody to say to me, Charles, you know, education is a business, right? It took somebody to say that for me to click and realize that when you get a business degree, there are multiple things that you can do with your degree. Just make sure that it matches who you are as a person and that the skill set that you have can apply to the jobs because there are so many jobs, so many pathways, so many ways to make money. And in education, I think that we think of it as one way, but it's multifaceted, right? It's a business. So I wish I would have told myself back then, like, hey, look at jobs that match what you're interested in because you're an educator by nature.
Thanks, Charles. So that concludes our panel. I'd like to thank Holly, Adam, and Charles for giving such great advice today. And then thank you to the students who attended live. And I hope everyone has a great day.
All right,
Thanks,
bye.
everyone.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. See
Thank
ya.
you. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you
Anna.
so
Have a
much.
good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.